So guys, write each of the following, write down the values of sine theta, cos theta and tan theta as fractions. So remember, sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse, cos theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, and finally tan theta is, anybody? Over, hence the term SOHCAHTOA. In each triangle, write down what is the hypotenuse, opposite and adjacent. Hypotenuse is always the longest side. The opposite is what the angle looks at. So opposite, opposite, opposite. And finally what's left over? The adjacent, okay? Now, what we're going to do is, I can answer it sort of like a table if we want. I can do it for question 1, question 2, question 3. So we can answer it a bit like a table. So we're going to find the sine for all 3 questions, the cos for all 3 questions, and the tan for all 3 questions. Question 1, question 2, question 3. Okay, let's try this out. For the first question, opposite over hypotenuse is 3 over 5. For the second question, cos adjacent over hypotenuse, 4 over 5. And then tan theta for the first question, 3 over 4. Okay, for question 2, 10 over 26 for sine. For cos, 24 over 26, opposite over hypotenuse. It's okay. And then tan, 10 over 24. Is that alright? Now guys, what about the next part, part 3? 24 over 25. Because opposite over hypotenuse, then adjacent over hypotenuse is 7 over 25. And after that, opposite over adjacent, 24 over 7. Did everybody get those? More or less? Any questions? Okay. Move on to the next one. Now, Charlie was asking me a bit about the language, okay? What does this mean? This part here? Yeah. There's a triangle that shapes a triangle. It means there's a triangle ABC. Is what the first part means, okay? Now this part here means what? See the little sign for angle in the corner? Find the angle from A. Sorry, the angle from A going to B going to C. See, it's this angle here, isn't it? And it's equal to 90 degrees. Okay, so this little sign here means that it's 90 degrees. Is that okay? AB is 18. What? So A to B, this line here is 18. B to C, 12. What does it mean by this, guys? Find the angle BAC. What angle is BAC? B to A back to C. It's what Ryan said. It's this angle here. Is that okay? So what we're going to do is we will say call that angle X. Now, what 2 sides do we know are relative to the X? Opposite and adjacent. Which function should I use? Tan. Tan what, Oshin? I will do in a second. 12 over 8. Yeah, opposite over adjacent. All these questions end with what? Tan inverse, cos inverse, or why? Because we need to find D, and we're finding angles. If you're finding angles, will everybody remember this? If you're finding angles, it's going to be cos inverse, sine inverse, or tan inverse. Okay, so just while we're waiting there, I just had to get my calculator out. Okay, so what we're going to get next, guys, is we're going to tan inverse 12 over 18. Tan inverse 12 over 18, and what you get? And does it want to the nearest degree? To the nearest degree? 34 degrees. X equals 34 degrees. Now, if that's 34, the next question asks us the angle A to C to B. How'd you go from A to C to B? A to C to B. How'd you find that one out? What? Yep. Much easier way. 180, because all triangles have to add up to 180. Take away 34 and take away. And what do we get? 56, is it? Yeah. That wasn't too bad, was it? Now, you could also use Pythagoras' theorem if you were asked. You could use Pythagoras' theorem to find that length there, if you were asked for it, because you knew two lengths at the very start, didn't you? So if you know two lengths, you can use Pythagoras' theorem. Okay, moving on. In ABC, is this the one we just did? No. Calculate the length of BC. BC is this one here. We'll label it X. What side is the 20? Adjacent. What side is the X? I knew I was looking for B to C. You paying attention to this? B to C is from B to C here. Okay, sine, cos, or tan? Alright, so Katoa. And what's tan again? So tan what, guys? Are we looking for an angle? Okay, huh? 34. We're not looking for an angle, we're looking for the length of a side, which means tan inverse will never be used, okay? So tan 34 equals opposite over adjacent, which is, okay, the X is what we want on its own. Is the X currently on its own? So what happens to 20? Turns from divide by 20 into, and what do we get? 13.49 X, okay? Everybody happy enough with that? Now, it wants us to next find out AC. See this length here? You have two options, okay? The first option is you do, the first option is that you identify this line as the, you know the adjacent from earlier. So what's cos, what has adjacent on a hypotenuse in it? Cos. So cos what number? Equals? No. Adjacent divided by, call it X, okay? And what happens to get the X on its own? What do we need to do? Again after that, and what's that get you? 24.12. That's one way of doing it. Can anybody give me a second way of doing it, given the information we have in the triangle in the top right hand side? Yes, Joaquin. He wants me to use Pythagoras, which is something squared equals something squared plus something squared. What goes on its own to the left? Always the longest side by eyesight. Okay? Longest side by eyesight. X squared. This part here? 13.49 squared. This part here? 20. Put into the calculator. X squared equals, what's it? 13.49 squared plus 20 squared. Oh dear. 13.49 squared plus 20 squared. So 13.49. Good man. Whoever said that. 581.98, and then we're going to square root that, aren't we? Square root your answer. 24.12 is what I got. Now, is it staying at 1-2? 124. So 4 rounds down, while 5 or above will round up. So it stays at 1-2. That's the same answer we got with the using cos, wasn't it? Let's find out if it was or not. We just go all the way back here. Remember we had cos earlier? There it is, 24.12. Same answer, 2 different ways. Okay? Now, this one here. Any ideas? Who said yeah? Who? Okay, go on, Joaquin. How'd you do it? How'd you do it? Okay, he identified this as the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is what you're looking for. And you knew that the 6.1 was the... Okay. Sin what? Yeah, equals 1.6 divided by, call it x. It's no, it has to be 1.6 over x. Has to be. Yeah. Okay, I understand. Move it around and you get x sine 30 equals 1.6. Then Joaquin would enter into his calculator would be the sine 30 underneath. So you entered 1.6 divided by sine 30. 3.2. Is your calculator in the right mode? It says D on top. I got 3.2 as well. What? I think it's 3.2, Joaquin. It has to be the longest side. What answer did you get? 3.2 meters for this diagonal bar here. Is that right? Now, finally, last one here for us today. When the angle of elevation of the sun is 15 degrees, an upright flagpole casts a shadow of length 18 meters. Calculate the height of the pole correct to 1 decimal place. Calculate H. What side is H relative to the 15 degrees? Opposite. Oh, sorry, I don't like calling it H because it gets mixed up with hypotenuse. Opposite is X. Adjacent is... So what function do we use? 15 equals... opposite over adjacent. And then the answer... which is, in the calculator, to 1 decimal place, 4.82 to 1 decimal place, 4.8 meters. Okay guys.